everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I am back with a Durham video. I know that it has been a very long time since I posted a Durham video, but they're back. Just to clarify, in case you only joined in Vlogmas and have noticed I'm not in Durham at the minute, I am a Durham student. I'm not just a big fan. I am a Durham student, but I'm on my study abroad, in case you're confused. Today I've got a Durham video to keep all the Durham people happy, because I did an Instagram story over a month ago now asking like different video ideas, and someone was just persistently putting Durham on every story. They were like voting on anything that wasn't Durham, and then in the question boxes they were just like Durham, Durham, Durham. So this is for you. Before we get started, if you like my little cactus earrings, they were sent to me by Luna Handcraft UK, so check them out on Instagram. They're great. I've had earrings from there before and I got 4 new ones today, which was very exciting. Let's get on with the video. So today I'm going to be talking about all the Durham colleges. If you don't know, Durham has a collegiate system, which is basically like form classes in school. You know, in school you're in like different houses. It's basically like that, but in uni. Your college is where you live, where you eat, it's what sports you'll be part of. Your course is separate, but more or less everything else is college based. I know that people can't go to open days this year, so maybe this will give a bit more of an insight. Also, don't stress if you can't go to an open day. I didn't view any unis. I went to Durham for a summer school and we didn't leave the college we were in, so I didn't see any of Durham then. I didn't really go to open days, so don't stress about that. It's not really necessary. I know everyone's like, uni is such a big part of your life, you need to know, but at the end of the day 3 years is quite short. Anyway, that's an unpopular opinion. I think my colleges video will be quite good because in Durham people get very patriotic over their colleges. I do not. Don't get me wrong, I like my college, but I'm not gonna fight to the death to defend its honour. I have quite an unbiased view because I just float about, you know. First of all, my college is Mary's because that's the one I know the most. I'll give a quick overview of Mary's. It's definitely the most picturesque in all of Durham. Like the nicest looking college I think is probably Mary's. That's why I picked it, because I saw pictures of it. I was like, oh, that's nice. It's like a big grand building, so that I do like. It's catered and it's gowned, so you know the gowns that I'll get more on to talking about the gowns later, but Mary's is gowned, and it was oh my gosh, it was originally oh my god, I can't speak. It was originally an all-girls college. It is no longer an all-girls college. It is now mixed, but you can request to be in an all-girls corridor. So if you need that for religious reasons or just personal reasons, you can have an all-girls wing. They call them wings. I was in Ferguson East wing, number 1, or Ferguson, I can't remember, but I was in the wing. I wasn't in an all-girls wing, but I was in a wing. Mary's is built up of 2 buildings, so you've got Ferguson, which is a nice big grand building, and you've got Williamson, which is like the more modern building, and if you're in Williamson though, you get en suites. That's basically it for Mary's. It's catered, so they make your food. The colleges are split between Hill and Bailey. A Hill college is on the hill, and a Bailey college is on the Bailey. So the Bailey is a street in the city centre, and the Hill is just a hill, but they're all basically in the same space. There are a few colleges that aren't, so you've got Hill Bede, that's like the opposite side, but Durham is a very small place, so it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to be basically central. In terms of location, literally all of the colleges in Durham are prime location. It's a very small place. If you want to be close to classes, go with a Hill college, because the science site, which regardless of what degree you're doing, most of your classes in first year will be on the science site. The science site is on the Hill. If you want to get to town quick, I mean, you're going to get anywhere quick anyway, the Bailey is better for getting into town. I mean, we're talking 5-minute difference at most. It's really not that far. I filmed this video about 4 times and I decided that going through each individual college wasn't going to work. What I'm going to go through is different characteristics that you might look for in a college and which fit that characteristic, if you know what I mean. For catered, the best food is John's or Chad's because they are privately owned. They're not run by the university. They're still part of the university, but they have different food. They get pudding at lunch. We didn't get pudding at lunch. That sold it to me. In terms of self-catered colleges, you've got the top of the hill. So Stevenson, JoBo and John Snow, I think, are all self-catered. And also Cuths, there's a half of Cuths called Parsons, which is a different building, and that is also self-catered. I think in terms of catering, if you're vegetarian, vegan, eat normal, go for catered. It's easy, it's quick. I mean, you have your meals at a certain time of the day, but it's pretty easy. If you've got any more complex dietary requirements, I wouldn't recommend it, or I'd recommend having a very strong word with the canteen staff beforehand about your dietary requirements, because they've got a veggie option, a vegan option and 2 meat options every day. That's great. But I'm gluten-free. So I once had a bowl of gravy. I was given a bowl of gravy with some onion in it. I often had spag bowl without the spag. Now, halfway through second term, I did think this isn't really hitting the spot for me, so I did have a conversation and it did get better. It was a little bit of a stern conversation, but I had a conversation and it did get better. But if you want to avoid hassle and just know what you're getting, then go for self-catered. Although catered is an experience for sure, and I was really excited for that experience, I think self-catered is great because you've got the faff out the way and you do it all yourself. One thing I would say that was probably my hardest part about being catered, first of all, I love cooking, but I didn't have a kitchen, so that was kind of tough. Second of all, I was a loner. You may think when you leave school, thank God I survived, I never had to sit in the canteen alone. And then you go and you're a first year with no friends and you sit in the dining hall alone every day. That's just one thing that comes back to haunt you. Yeah, aside from that, it's great. I wouldn't diss catered, it's just whatever you prefer. Personally, I love cooking, so I wish I'd have gone for self-catered, or perhaps been in a college where there were kitchens anyway, because there weren't kitchens in Mary's. There were pantries with like a sofa and a mini fridge, and that was it. Whereas in Van Mildert they had full kitchens, so it just depends where you are. Personally, the food situation didn't necessarily work for me. I frequently just was so embarrassed that I was by myself, and also didn't like the food. I would just run in, sprint, well, not sprint because I do have some dignity and I'm not a good sprinter. I would rush in, head down, go, 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 grab a piece of fruit, go, 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 back to my room. That was my life. That was great. And also meals are at set times, so if you miss breakfast, then it's kind of a pain. It's just what you prefer, but most colleges in Durham are catered, and the ones that aren't are the top of the hill ones, Stevenson, JoBo and John Snow, and Parsons in Cuths. In terms of ensuite, I wouldn't worry about ensuites really. People stress about having to share a bathroom. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you've got a severe medical issue, say if you were in public, you use the disabled toilets or something, then it probably is more comfortable to use an ensuite. But if you just can't be bothered sharing, honestly, I don't think an ensuite is worth it. We had 3 cubicles like in school. A lot of the colleges you'll have an individual toilet, but no, on our corridor in Mary's we had cubicles like in school, so you were in the same room, just in a cubicle. We had 3 toilets and 4 shower cubicles. Between about 18 of us, 20, I never counted. That's how many toilets we had, and it was fine. To be honest, I used the ones downstairs next to the dining hall more often because they were nicer, because they were public toilets, so they were kept cleaner. The benefits are you don't have to clean your own toilet and you don't have to buy your own toilet rolls. Even though only one of our toilets out of the 3 worked, it was still, for me, it was a win-win. If you do want an ensuite, a lot of the colleges do offer them. They are available, just not as much. If you go for Stevenson, JoBo or John Snow, I think a high proportion of them have ensuites. Or just pick your college and just tick, I want an ensuite. One thing I would say, if you get an ensuite, you're probably compromising on the size of the room though. Not everywhere. I did see a girl who had a lovely ensuite and a massive room. Most of the time, ensuite rooms, you do compromise on the size of the room. And you will have a sink in your room, which I used to be terrified of sinks, but I got over it because I had a sink in my room. Small rooms you're probably going to find in the more modern colleges like Stevenson, JoBo, John Snow. They're fitting every category here, aren't they? Van Mildert, they're all pretty small rooms. If you want big rooms, go for the traditionally built rooms because they were normally built to share in the first place. Mary's, that was originally a shared room, so one girl literally had a school hall as her room. Well, that's an exaggeration, but it was as big as a classroom, her room. In Mary's, they're all different sizes. They're very unique. Mary's has quite big rooms. The Bailey ones have quite big rooms. To be honest, it doesn't really matter what size saying this about everything. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. That's the thing. I think if you don't like it, grin and bear it. It's going to be over before you know it. So that's kind of my motto, but I know lots of people are choosy. So, but a small room is cozier. Like, I felt like my room in Mary's first year was too big for the amount of stuff I had. It just depends. In terms of bars, basically every college has a bar, a drinking bar. So you can do bar crawls. I'll talk you through like the most known ones. Mary's has the smallest bar. It's literally smaller than my bedroom. It's tiny, but it's got character. Castle Bar is definitely very cool. You like go under a little miniature door and it's kind of like a cave. Take a mix between a cowboy saloon and a cave, and that's Castle Bar. That's very cool. And they've got lovely toilets in Castle Bar, actually. I just remembered that. They've got really nice toilets. So Castle Bar is nice. Hatfield Bar is brand new, recently renovated. Chad's is very cool because there's a really nice courtyard. Well, not a courtyard, it's like a, what would you call it? Like a square with a glass roof. Oh, it's like a courtyard but with a glass roof. It's really cool. I really like that. It's got good vibes. There's a bar at the top of the hill, which is where Stevenson, JoBo and Johnson aren't my favourite. They're not my favourite, but they're just cropping up a lot. They serve food in their bar. In other bars, they might only serve like Mars bars or something. What did I have there? Nachos. Had nachos in one of their bars. So if you're like me, I love a bit of food on a night out. If I'm socialising, I'm there for the food. So if you're like me, check out bars with food. And that they serve food day round in their bar because they're a self-catered college. Moving on to stereotypes of the different colleges. This video is very mismatched, I'm sorry. Stereotypes of the different colleges. Probably the sportiest is Collingwood. Now, I personally didn't like Collingwood when I visited. I only went to one person's room, but I found it very claustrophobic and very low, and it felt very 60s old people's home vibes. But I guess that's just me. Also, the person's room I visited was a disgrace. It was really messy, so that probably contributed to it. But yeah, I didn't like the vibes there myself. But also, when I went to the summer school in Van Mildert, I didn't like the vibes there, but I love the vibes there now. So it's all about what kind of a night you're having when you visit. So the sportiest is Collingwood. It's also the largest. I think they're the biggest college. The poshest is Hatfield. Hatfield has a really bad rep for being super posh and stuck up. Personally, anyone I've ever met like on speaking terms from Hatfield has been lovely. One of the most common stresses I get in my Instagram DMs are people that have been put in Hatfield and they are freaking out. You're gonna be fine. They're still people. They're still the same age as you. Don't panic. I get a lot of panickers about Hatfield, so don't stress about Hatfield. It's fine. Anyone I've ever met from there has been really lovely. It's just got a bad reputation. The rubbish college is known as Trevs. Everyone freaks out if they're assigned to Trevs. I've never met anyone from Trevs. I don't know whether they just keep themselves to themselves or maybe they just don't admit they're from Trevs. I see nothing wrong with it. It's cool. It's hexagons, you know. I don't think there's anything wrong with Trevs. You do you, you know. I don't think you should panic if you've been put in Trevs. The most religious is John's. I mean, I'm religious, but I didn't go to John's. They have a church attached to theirs, and they have trainee priests that live, or just priests that live in the college. So that's why it's got like a religious reputation. To be honest, most of the people I know that go to John's or went to John's are not religious. So it's not really, it's just got that vibe. If you want that vibe, you don't have to be religious, but if you're religious, you don't have to go there. Do you get the vibe? Loads of colleges will claim to be the most friendly. To be honest, it depends on the people that are there when you're there, so don't buy into any we're the friendliest college. Not that they're not friendly, but literally the people make a place. You can't say we're the friendliest because you don't know who's going to walk in the door. Don't stress about any of that. It's going to be more or less the same wherever you are. I had this question the other day. Someone wanted like a more down-to-earth college. Probably looking at the Hill colleges, probably a bit more down-to-earth than like Hatfield and Castle, which are on the Bailey. Castle is a castle, by the way. That's University College. I don't think I've mentioned that so far, but often if you go to University College you'll actually be in a different residence. There's two sites to Castle, so it's unlikely you'll be staying in the actual castle, and I wouldn't even want to because I've heard it's haunted. Not my cup of tea personally. Down to earth, you're gonna get it anywhere. You're gonna get down to earth people anywhere. It's just like picking a uni. You're gonna get a mix everywhere, and it's the same in colleges. You're gonna get a mix everywhere. Down to earth is probably more likely to be the Hill colleges. Sorry if this video is not helpful. I'm trying. In terms of gown, basically Durham have a lot of traditions. Like if you're going to Durham, you're probably wanting to get involved in like the traditional aspect, like gowned formals and things like that. So not every college is gowned. Gowned means you wear a gown. I'll insert a picture of the gown, and you wear these to formals, JCR meetings, matriculation. But if you're not in a gowned college, you don't wear these gowns. I think I heard that you can if you want, but I think that would be a bit of a bold choice. Do whatever floats your boat. Live your best life. Most colleges have formals. I think they all do, but they're not all gowned. The colleges that have the most formals are Castle and Hatfield. They have theirs twice a week. Some you have to pay for and some you don't. So I think John's are free. I've been to John's are free. I've not been anywhere else but Mary's. Mary's are not free. You have to pay. In terms of which are gowned, everyone on the Bailey is a gowned college except for Cuths. So if you want to wear a gown, don't go to Cuths. On the Hill, Grey, Trev's and Mary's are gowned. Grey, I've just mentioned them. I've not mentioned them before. They're very close to the science site, great location. You can share a room in Grey. Not many shared rooms, but there are a few shared rooms, and I know a girl that shared in Grey and it looked like she loved it. So don't be put off by that. Personally, I cry too much to share a room. Plenty of colleges like Mary's, all of them, there's no possibility of sharing, so just pick one of them if you don't want to share. I'll just quickly mention Aidan's has a very big common room. There's lots of steps to get up to Aidan's. You can go round the long way, but like the quickest way is up the steps, and there's a ton of steps. I wouldn't want to go there personally. The steps on Aidan's are a bit of a chore. Accessibility wise, Aidan's probably isn't the best if you struggle with steps or something like that. In terms of what old buildings or new buildings, all the ones on the Bailey are old traditional buildings. Mary's is an old traditional building. I think the rest are relatively new builds. No, I know for certain. The rest are like 60s onwards, whereas Bailey and Mary's are like much older than that. If you want a stereotypical uni accommodation, go for JoBo, Stevenson, John Snow or South College. That's the closest you're going to get. The others, or Mary's, I felt like this, but quite a few of the colleges kind of have the vibes of boarding school. And someone actually came into Mary's and was like, oh my god, I went to a boarding school and this is it. If you want the vibe of a uni, then go for South College, John Snow, JoBo. The ones with the en-suites are where you're going to get a non-boarding school vibe. I wouldn't know, I never went to boarding school, but you know, you get the gist. I think that's everything I wanted to mention. Van Mildred's got a pond with geese. Most of the colleges have nice grounds with nice gardens. There's a cat on the Bailey, but you can visit it if you're on the Hill. I'll insert a picture of said cat. It's probably not the best, most informative video, but it's just my opinion. The main points I want to get across is just pick whether you want a kind of boarding schooly or if you want it to feel like a stereotypical big city uni. Pick that and then pick your college based on that. Do you want an old building or a new building? And like I said, top of the Hill, South College, Van Mildert, kind of, they're all newish. Bailey, Mary's, if you want traditional, go for them. Pick if you want catered or self-catered and pick based on that. Unless you've got severe medical reasons, don't worry about the ensuite. Just put it on your form if you want one. You'll probably end up getting one. Don't worry too much about colleges because it's all about who you're with anyway. But if you want pudding at lunchtime, it's John's or Chad's, I'd say. Best location for class, Mary's and Grey. Best location for the city, Bailey. But it's all worst location, Hillbead. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Wherever you are, it's all pretty close. It's all about whether you want to be catered or self-catered or in a new or old or an old building. The main things you really need to, oh, and gowned and non-gowned, but we spoke through that. So those are really the main things you want to focus on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I think most colleges are the same price. It differs between ensuite, which is why I've said it's not worth it. It differs between ensuite and non-ensuite, and it differs between catered and self-catered, but aside from that, they're all more or less the same price, which is extortionately expensive. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Sorry it was such a mismatch. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I hope you enjoyed it all the same, and I'll see you next week for another video. Bye!
Oh, it's so good to be free.